Hello. All right, do we have Guy on?
Guy is not on. But if he does come on and turn his camera on, he will be in the lower right-hand corner, left-hand corner.
So people can actually see him?
If he
watch on
turns his
TV?
camera on, yes.
Okay.
I will make sure of that, but I don't see him on as a panelist right now.
Here he says he can hear us, but his video's off. He said he signed on.
He's under as an attendee.
Okay.
Okay, ready to roll?
Yeah,
Megan, would you please read the statement of presiding officer?
of course. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act in New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call-in information, were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and Morris Daily Record and posted on the township website. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed on the meeting agenda.
Okay, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Megan, will you please call the roll?
Of course. Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Ray?
Present.
Committeeman Verleza will be joining us shortly. Deputy Mayor Paserchia is on Zoom without his camera, and Mayor Lavender.
Present. And just as a clarification, committee members joining via Zoom do not have voting privileges because we have a quorum in the room. Correct. Okay. All right. So first thing on the agenda, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we have a guest with us today. Grace Eline is here. We'd like to ask Grace to come forward and talk to us. I have a proclamation too that I want to read.
Want me to
I'm
read
gonna-
this first?
Yeah, Matt is going to read something while I go up front.
I will read this so I don't have to hear it from your mother, Grace. So.
Thank you.
With Grace is a local charity. It's basically began and started right on Mountain Avenue in Gillette. It's founded by Grace, my friend over here, a childhood cancer survivor who gave back to childhood cancer even before she was diagnosed at 9 years old with a brain tumor. She's now 5 years of evidence of no disease. They continue to give back through her 501c3 charity and inspiring other area kids to get involved. Some of them are here today, along with their parents. With Grace Initiative focuses on care bags for those affected by childhood cancer. They raise money for research for better treatments and spreading kindness. Most recently, Grace spent the last week in Washington, D.C. I see your mom got to go to Washington, D.C., and your father gets to come here. That sounds like a fair trade-off. She participated in Congressional Childhood Cancer Caucus. She met legislators on Capitol Hill and at the White House, meeting with members of Biden's Cancer Moonshot regarding the needs of childhood cancer community. And from what I heard, Grace, you got to go bowling in the White House. Is that accurate? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. So great job, and I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
So I have one question. Did they tell you which president had the bowling alley made?
Yeah, it was Truman.
Ah, there you go. We thought it was Eisenhower, but it was the one before him. And how was that? A lot of fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How many alleys they have?
Only two, but it was really cool because they had like a bunch of like historical facts about it, and all the different presidents who were there before.
What'd she score?
I don't want to talk about it. It was not very good.
Well, I'm gonna read the first paragraph here. Then I'm gonna give you the mic, and we want to hear a little bit about what happened. So, this is a proclamation, and we know it's a little bit late in September, but we wanted to do this when you were here, and we knew you had this trip, and we wanted to hear all about it. So, it's never too late, right? Because this is pediatric cancer is something that it has to be worked on constantly. So, whereas our own Long Hill Township residents, Grace Eline, is an inspirational and dedicated activist focused on raising awareness of childhood cancer and raising funds for research. And whereas childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by diseases of children, and 1 in 280 children in the United States will be diagnosed by their 20th birthday, and whereas 47 children per day of 17,293 children per year are diagnosed with cancer in the U.S., and whereas the average age of diagnosis is 8 years old compared to 69 years old for adults, cancer diagnoses, and whereas on average there's been a 0.8% increase in incidence per year since the mid-1970s, resulting in an overall incidence increase of 2.4% over the last 40 years. And 2/3 of childhood cancer patients will have chronic health conditions as a result of their treatment toxicity, with 1/4 being classified as severe to life-threatening. And approximately 1/2 of childhood cancer families rate the associated financial toxicity due to out-of-pocket expenses as considerable to severe. And in the last 20 years, only 4 new drugs have been approved by the FDA to specifically treat childhood cancer. And whereas the National Cancer Institute recognizes the unique research needs of childhood cancer and the associated need for increased funding to carry this out. And hundreds of nonprofit organizations at the local and national level, including the With Grace initiative, and many others, are helping children with cancer and their families cope through educational, emotional, and financial support. And whereas researchers and healthcare professionals work diligently, dedicating their experience to treat and cure children with cancer. And finally, whereas too many children are affected by this deadly disease, and more must be done to raise the awareness to find a cure. And now, therefore, I, Scott Lavender, Mayor of Long Hill Township, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Long Hill Township, and I encourage all Americans and residents of Long Hill to observe Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and support this cause that so deeply impacts families in every community.
Yeah, grab some. I'll be right back.
So anyway, we'll just talk louder. Grace, remember about everything you do, and keep it going. Beyond being a child and an adult, cancer never stops, and neither should you.
This
So,
will work.
what would you like to say?
Right here. Wait, Grace, try that.
Yeah, come on over here.
I wanted to say just a big thank you to the council for making this proclamation and declaring September as Pediatric Cancer Month, because it not only affects the warriors but their families, and it's going to help so many children by just raising awareness. I also wanted to say a big thank you to just the community of Long Hill for helping us to raise awareness and just supporting not only our charity but also the childhood cancer cause in general. And a very, very big thank you to the With Grace team. We could not do anything that we do without you, and all of your help means so much to us, and we care about you guys so much. But just like, again, a huge, huge thank you, because this means so much, because awareness is how we get research done, and it's how we help all the warriors. So this means so much to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right here. Perfect. Everybody? I got 2 phones. So 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Okay. Hello. All right. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have ordinance 524-23. This is a first reading and introduction. An ordinance concerning the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee and amending section 2-35 of the Township Code. Randy, do you want to comment on this, or Jack?
Yeah, I can. if you
John,
want to,
okay,
Randy.
yeah.
This is at the request of the HPAC. They've asked that there be two additional paragraphs added to the responsibilities, namely, advise the mayor and township committee of the need for repairs, preservation, restoration, or upgrades to township-owned historic sites and structures. And the second one is, upon agreement with the township committee regarding the cost and scope of the project, document the historical significance of structures to be demolished if appropriate. So those are their two requests, and that's what we've added to the ordinance.
Okay. Brendan or Matt, any questions on this?
Nope.
Guy, anything from you on the web? No? Okay. So, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 524-237 on first reading with a public hearing and second reading on November 8th?
So moved.
Second.
Committee Van Dorsey,
Yes.
Committeeman Ray,
Yes.
Mayor Lavender.
Yes. Okay, and again, that public hearing is going to be November 8th at the request of the HPAC committee.
Correct.
Next, ordinance 525-23, first reading and introduction, providing for improvements in and by the township, and appropriating $223,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund and Recreation Escrow Fund. So Randy, do you want to give us an overview of this?
Yeah, this is additional money to help fund the pickleball, I should say pickleball court, but the Myersville Park renovations to include extended parking and renovating the current tennis court into a pickleball court.
Okay, so if I have this straight, this is the project we talked about last year, which has the curbing, the enhanced parking, the expanded parking. What we're trying to do is make it a lot safer down there for the families that are visiting the park, and we're taking away the tennis courts, repurposing some of that for parking, and then using the space that's left over for a pickleball court. Is that a fair synopsis?
That is a good synopsis.
Okay.
Whenever we had talked about it originally, there was going to be more than one pickleball court there. Is that was my recollection?
There was talk about two pickleball courts located at that, because you can take a tennis court and make it into two. With some of the DEP restrictions and the main focus of making the parking safer and get people off the street, the plans only were able to call for one court.
Okay. So whenever we talked about it before, there's also the Capital Improvement Fund. What's that? I know we have, no, I'm sorry, the Recreation Escrow Fund. We talked about it as a capital, as I remember. So
Yeah, Recreation Escrow is a fund used with fees and programs for the programs and everything that the recreation runs throughout the course of the year. And occasionally they contribute to capital projects for improvements of the parks. Now, the bulk of this is coming from the Capital Improvement Fund, and unfortunately, I don't have the paperwork with me, but I think it's only $70,000 that's coming from the Recreation Escrow.
yeah, no, you're right. It's only 75,000 that's coming from it, right?
Okay.
Okay, so what's the current amount in that fund?
In which?
I'm sorry, the Recreation Escrow Fund.
Brendan, I'm going to be talking totally off the top of my head. I can get you this more detailed answer tomorrow, but it's in the 230-ish, 230,000, 215,000 range.
Okay. Oh no, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Randy. This is first reading, so we can talk we can talk afterwards. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Matt?
No.
Okay. So this would be for public hearing and second reading on October 11th. So can I have a motion to approve Capital Ordinance 525-23?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Hi, Chuck.
Hi, could I comment on that first reading? I know it's not normal, but you have allowed an exception.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I like the shirt.
Thank you, so do I. I love our country.
I know.
Thank you. Just so you know, at last night, Charles Arenowitz, Millington. Just so you know, last night's planning board, we had major problems with these mics, okay? Both from the public and from the people on the dais. What you need to do, so people can hear it on TV, is speak directly into the mic as I am doing. Several members of the planning board did not do that last night, and the TV viewers couldn't hear, as well as some of the residents commenting. Anyway, I just make you aware of that. On this first reading, my only concern is taking $75,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund of Rec. I was under the impression that these dollars were for the replacement of our turf field back here at Cantor Park. Taking away $75,000 may take away from future replacement of that field, and more importantly, the NFL Players Association 2 weeks ago recommended, because of serious injuries to players, to remove synthetic and play turf and go back to grass. So if down the road this township committee decided to go back to grass, taking $75,000 out of that escrow fund would seriously impede the progress for that change. The second thing that concerns me is when, as you pointed out, Mayor, this was discussed about the pickleball courts a year ago. The estimate from Mark, our engineer at that time, was about $100,000 to $150,000. I recommended at that time that we not pave those parking spaces because of stormwater management and what impact it would have. Apparently, you as a group decided we're going to pave it. Now, the cost has run up to $223,000 after we were told that the estimate was going to be $100,000 to $150,000. I think before the second reading, the public needs an explanation of how we basically doubled the cost and continue to pave the lots instead of leaving it gravel as it now is. I appreciate you allowing me to comment on the first reading and looking forward to those additional information at the second reading. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate the comments, and we'll incorporate that into the deliberations. Appreciate it. Okay.
Actually, one more on, and we're paving right down there, environmentally sensitive area. Have we looked at using the porous asphalt that's used in those kinds of areas? And maybe that's a reason for the increase in cost.
I think that's more expensive.
Okay.
I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've just wondered if that was an increase in cost. responsible
Randy,
for it.
who got the original quote on that? Was it you or Lisa?
The original quote,
Yeah.
that was an engineer's estimate that Chuck was talking about from last year.
I mean, the bids that we got.
The bids were opened last Wednesday, Megan?
Correct.
A formal bid.
Okay, I thought we had indicative pricing though in the past.
We had 3 bids. 2 of them were right in the ballpark of around 290, and Harlequin was the low bid.
Okay, so one
I
of the
think you
things
have
we
a
might,
summary.
yeah, one of the things we might want to look at are the type of asphalt,
Yeah,
as Brendan is saying.
It's porous. I mean, I just wondered if that was the increase, but I mean, if it could be much more expensive, in which
Yeah.
case it would be out of the range. But for those types of areas, it might be it
Yeah.
might actually be
But
beneficial.
keep in mind too, I mean, the bigger problem down there is safety, right?
Yeah.
And curbing would be a big deal down there. Right
Yeah.
now, kids are walking in the street and.
Oh
quite
no, no,
frankly,
yeah, I know,
think we
I
have to
know.
worry about the kids more than we do the stormwater.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, it's just that it's been it's traditionally been looked at as an environmentally sensitive area,
Yeah.
and so if we could use something like that, that would be the way to go. But
But
I
the design
I
of the
agree.
grid is what
It's-
I heard was
it's-
in compliance with DEP.
Okay,
rules,
okay.
right? Is that what I heard, Randy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. Always fun. Nothing's ever easy. You know that? Nothing's ever easy.
There's always something, always some curveball.
Yeah. Okay. I lost my place. All right. So public reading and hearing on October 11th. Next, ordinance 523-23, second reading and adoption, salary and wages. Before I open to the public, any comments on the dais? All right. I'll open the public hearing on 523-23.
Good evening, Charles Arenowitz, Millington. The one addition in red. Oh, welcome, Mr. Veleza.
Thank you.
You're always welcome to these meetings. The one in red is an engineer from 115,000 to 175. Most of my years, 42, here in this lovely town, we've contracted for these services. Could someone please explain to me what the thinking is? I know I read the paper to try to kind of figure out what's going on, but not everybody in this town has a subscription to the Echo Sentinel. So if someone could explain to me the rationale after so many years to having a contracted professional services engineer, why are we putting a position of engineer from 115 to 175,000 dollars into this resolution?
So Randy, yeah, I'm going to let you try to field that one first, if that's okay.
Sure. It's to give the township opportunities, to give them an opportunity either to go out and continue with contracted or to bring an in-house engineer in place. It may be beneficial for an in-house engineer. It may be beneficial for a consulting engineer firm to continue with the town. So, as you know, Mr. Orenowitz, we did have an in-house engineer years ago, and the salary was just taken out of the salary ordinance. I thought it would be wise to put it back in to give the option and to possibly be able to save money to the taxpayers and possibly servicing and so forth, that we look at all opportunities for engineering services.
Could you explain how we would be saving money on this particular position, given the fact the cost of benefits, retirement, and everything else that goes with the position?
It may not. I said it could. So you do evaluations whenever you want to take a look at whether you go in-house or you go consulting, how much we paid in the past for consulting, how much an in-house engineer would cost with all the benefits. I'm not excluding benefits at all, obviously. And then determine with an educated decision, you can make the decisions.
Based upon your analysis, is it your recommendation to this township committee that we hire a engineer?
That's your words. I don't think I said that
No,
at all.
it was a
I
question.
said
It was a
would-
question.
I said it would give an opportunity to have different various choices based on an educated decision.
So basically what he's saying is that there's no
Speak into
recommendation-
that mic because it's not going to go to the TV. Thank you.
How's that?
It's great.
Nice, very deep, right? There's no commitment either way. I mean, this is just simply to provide optionality, so that if we do encounter an opportunity that makes sense, we can pivot that way. But there's no commitment here.
So did this analysis,
The analysis is not done,
so why do this?
because there are opportunities in flight, and we want to make sure that if something comes up that fits this, that we have this in place to do it, if it materializes.
I'm full agreement with passing this if you can tell me this is going to save the taxpayer money. And you're telling me we haven't done the analysis, we don't know. So
What I-
why
what
would
I-
you put it in there?
What I can tell you right now, when this passes today and when we leave here, it does not cost the township any money. It may save the township money in the future if we decide to exercise against this.
But we don't know that. Is that true?
We don't know that because we're not
And we
done-
haven't estimated it, we haven't done the analysis, but we're just going to do that in the future in case it may save us money. Is that correct?
We do the analysis before we hire somebody, if we hire somebody.
You know, I worked 20 years for one of the big 8 accounting firms, and I'm sorry, your explanations don't jive with what we would recommend to any township or organization on what they're trying to look at their cost savings. So if you want to do that, go ahead.
Thanks, Chuck. Okay. Anybody else in the public? If not, I will close public hearing.
Zoom?
Oh, on Zoom. Go ahead.
Anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay. I'll now close public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 523-23?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. All right, next. Consent agenda resolutions. Is there anything on here that anyone has to recuse themselves from?
I'm recusing myself from 23-264.
And what about 5-7? No?
No.
Sterling, okay. Anybody else? All right. Can I have a motion to approve 23-252 through 265 with Brendan's recusal on 264?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. All right, next. Liaison reports. Vic, can I start down at your end?
Absolutely. First, we're going to do the recreation report. Upcoming recreation events are as follows. Tomorrow night, Thursday, September 28th, 6 p.m. at Cantor Park. The last of our dog days of summer concerts for 2023. Crab Daddy will play classic rock from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. This is a free concert, and we would like to thank our sponsor, Hillview Farms. Please bring your lawn chairs and the family. Come hungry. All right, I have to do this. Oink Oink and Moo Moo Barbecue will be on site. Yum. All right. Number 2. Next week starts travel team basketball. Tryouts for students in grades 4 through 8. Tryout registration is free, but registration on the Community Pass is required by 10/1. Teams will be selected and practices will begin in October. Tip-off for the travel basketball team season is December 1st. More information can be found on the website. Please note, Saturday recreation basketball program will begin on November 18th. Registration will be open soon. We have a reminder. The deadline to apply for employment in our basketball program is on October 1st. Application is online. It's a very easy process. Please see more information on our website. Adults 18 plus. Open play basketball will begin on 10/19 and go through 5/2/24. It starts at 7:30 and goes to 9 p.m. at the Central School Gym and on Thursday nights. Pre-registration is on the Community Pass is a must. Oh, I'm sorry. Pre-registration on the Community Pass is a must in order to enter the program. Moving right along, Autumn in Long Hill photography contest has begun. Each Long Hill resident entrant can enter up to 3 photographs. Open to all ages. Registration is free. Check out all the details on the website and enter on Community Pass. Rules are also posted on our website. Halloween Parade presented by the Long Hill Parks and Rec and the Long Hill Chamber of Commerce is Sunday, October 22nd at 3 p.m. sharp. Get those costumes ready. Prizes for the judges' favorite costumes. It is a free event for all Long Hill families. And last but not least, the Long Hill First Aid Squad will sponsor a trunk or treat for the 4th year in a row in the parking lot at Town Hall on Saturday, October 28th from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. This is a free event. If you would like to enter a trunk or treat in the event, please contact Michelle Lipkin from the First Aid Squad at michelle.lipkin@verizon.net. Prizes for the first, second, and third place for decorations and themes. And that concludes the Recreation Liaison's report. And now I'm going to move on to beautification. The beautification update is as follows. Saturday, October 7th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Please be sure to mark your calendars and come celebrate Long Hill Cleanup Day. On Saturday, October 7th, on Saturday, October 7th, 2023, the Long Hill Township will host its 3rd annual Township-wide Cleanup Day. Participants receive free gloves and t-shirts and lunch. Volunteer check-in is at 8 a.m. on the plaza in the front of the Long Hill Library. Team captains will take their assigned groups to the cleanup zones. Sign up is required. Register at longhillnewjersey.gov by September 28th. The rain date will be October 14th. An update on the electrical boxes. It looks like we're going to have those electrical boxes throughout town wrapped up in December. So looking good for the holidays. And then finally, we have our open space liaison report. Open space met.
While you're on beautification.
Yeah, sure, of course.
And I had sent an email out a couple of days ago. Denise Murphy from the Historic Preservation Committee had made a suggestion, and specifically for the old schoolhouse, Old Town Hall. You know, if we have the wherewithal, the budget, and the resources to do some seasonal kind of decorations, corn stalks, mums, whatever, to kind of spruce things up on some of the.
I actually should have brought that up. We did discuss it.
Okay.
We love it. We're all for it. And I believe Colette is working on it as we speak. She's on it. We're going to
Okay.
see if the money is in the budget to do so. We think it's a great idea.
Now, the Boy Scouts will be having their mum sale this coming weekend, and the beautification committee can pick up some mums there.
Great idea.
Why not?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help you out.
Sounds great to me.
All right. open
Colette, you
space.
got that? And then,
Hey, you know, the Boy Scouts donated a lot of flowers last May.
and I will say, I have purchased flowers for many years from the Long Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the flowers are exceptional. They're very hardy, they're great quality.
All right. Sorry.
For a
And
great
Mayor, I
quality.
just want,
No, not at
I just
all.
want to add, Mayor, those flowers were put in by the wall at the library, and we've had so many positive compliments on that. So they look beautiful. They're unfortunately, they're probably going to be at the end of the season, but they still look good.
Awesome. And then open space met this past week. We continue to identify properties throughout town that are on the roster that we could hopefully utilize for purposes of community enjoyment. So in other words, certain properties, if they're blue acres, you pretty much can't touch them at all. Green acres, very limited. But it looks like we've identified some properties on the Valley Road corridor that we might be able to do some great stuff with, the Everly property being one of them. We're moving right along, and it looks like we're gonna be able, see, unfortunately, the Central Park, we're gonna do our best, and I believe it's gonna be a great project, Central Park. But unfortunately, we can't fit everything that we would like to fit there because we're limited due to the wetlands. But if we keep moving along that corridor, we may be able to get some other recreation activities and other different types of fields along the corridor that people could use. So maybe a soccer field on Central, maybe pickleball and a canoe launch at Eberly, and maybe something else further down. So we're on it, and we're looking to coordinate it. We met with Mark, the engineer, and the ball is rolling.
Terrific. Great. Anything else?
Good things are coming. No, that would be it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brendan, anything?
No report from me.
Okay. Matt?
Yes, all right. From Long Hill's Finest, I just got an email from the officer in charge, Alexis Chambrillo, and no news is good news, so that's a good thing. From the DPW, let's see, they are, actually, it's funny you mentioned, they are doing maintenance over at the schoolhouse. They've been finishing up the lawn maintenance for the season. The street sweeper will be back out next week. They've been doing tree removal and trimming, and they installed a new drainage pipe somewhere. For the fire department, they had 168 calls to date for our firemen and women. That's about 19 a month. Sometimes they have multiple ones per day. And a couple weeks ago, I think Brendan, I think you were in town for this. I think they had 2 at the same time. So
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it gets tough. So thank you for everybody for getting out and getting to those calls. And both fire companies would like to thank all that came out for their comedy night last Saturday. It was a big success, and I know they're talking about doing it again. And thanks to everybody that was harassed by Ed Garrick to buy mega 50-50 tickets. I believe, and Brendan can vouch, I think the payout was over $12,000, wasn't it?
It was $12,500.
I think that was the max, right?
Yep.
So
that is
great
mega
job,
right
everybody,
there.
and I think Tommy won, so I'm sure he's happy with his $1,000, $12,000.
Yeah, he was very happy.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And, you know, Matt, I mean, you said it, but it was a really great event, and the people who came out, thank you very much for the community support. And we are indeed thinking about making this an annual event. It was well received by everybody.
So thank everybody, and thank you everybody that helped plan and set it up. That's all I have.
Great. Anything for DPW?
I did.
Oh, okay. You did that. All right, good.
Correct.
All right, next, administrators report. Randy?
No, Scott, hey, Scott, I
Oh.
just want to do a quick update for the first aid squad. So the first aid squad averaged just under 2 calls per day in August. That is typical of a monthly service provided by the first aid squad. So a big shout out to them as always. I would point out to everyone who doesn't know that the first aid squad is a 100% volunteer organization. They never charge for the service, invaluable service they provide to the town. And that leads into the first aid squad annual fund drive is ongoing. So you can stop by the first aid squad, make your donation, or reach out to any of the members that you may know. So please, please, please help the first aid squad help you. Thank you.
Good. And I'm sorry, Guy, I missed you there. Where are you today?
uh, halfway around the world.
Okay. It's clear as a bell. All right. Randy, administrator's report?
Yes, Mayor, I have a couple things. Last Thursday, I believe you received the email also from our engineer, Paul Ferreira, indicating that Ferreira Engineering has merged with Boswell Engineering. Boswell Engineering is a well-known engineering firm that has many years of municipal experience. So we'll be looking at their capabilities and so forth.
He must have lost internet. He's not on anymore.
Did anybody lose internet here?
No, it looks like we're still.
Guy, are you still there?
Guy's still on.
I am.
Good. We have Guy from the Far East and Randy's from Far Rockaway or wherever. All right. So why don't we go into discussion items and we'll come back to Randy. First thing, and I don't know who to ask it. Megan, maybe this is a question for you. The microphones last night, Chuck was right. The microphones last night were not good. The ones over there, and this one feels very light, like there's not a lot of gain on it. Right? I got to get all the way up here, whereas I don't know if when we did all the video work, if they adjusted the knobs in a certain way. Or
I will follow up with the contractor that did come in and do the work. I don't believe they touched the microphones, but I will also ask Bob Duthaler.
Yeah,
as well.
they might have turned down the gain in the back going out there. And the other thing is that microphone up there, Deb replaced the batteries like 3 times.
I'm already getting Colette on a rechargeable battery for
Yeah.
it, so.
And maybe like a backup that's always charged, and we just swap them. Yeah, it was kind of frustrating last night. We're waiting for Randy to get back. He froze. A couple things. First, I spoke to Bob Falzerano a week and a half ago regarding the work that he's doing over in the police department. He continues to make progress collecting operational data, taking a look at HR-related functionings in the department. He expects to have a draft report for confidential review at the beginning of October, and he's still on target for a delivery of a final report before the end of the year. But things seem to be going smoothly. That's not the only thing that Bob's working on. He's also, helping to mentor, provide advice, give advice with regard to gaining accreditation, et cetera. So that's going well. The second thing, maybe too, if you can tell Randy to disconnect and reconnect.
He's trying to log back on. He said he had an electronic surge, so he's signing back on now. So
Okay.
I'm just waiting for him to pop up, and then I'll
Okay.
get him back up.
So with regard to the HR contract, Tom Cernicki is in here every Thursday. He continues to work with the directors and the employees with regard to cultural change. I think, Megan, you had been in some of the leadership meetings that Tom ran. How did you find those?
Very helpful, very helpful. He's also working on a lot of other projects, not only for department heads, but for employees, residents, so everything across the board.
And job descriptions.
Correct.
All that. So one of the things that occurred to me is that the employees, those on salary, I think you have to take a certain number of hours of HR training per year, correct?
I believe it's every 2 years. It's discrimination and harassment training
Mm-hmm.
that we have to take.
And every employee has to take that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how long does that take you to complete?
I want to say it's about 3 hours. You can stop and go, and it'll pick up where you left off. And then there's questions that you have to answer throughout the entire presentation.
Got it. So you actually have to pass some sort of a test or something like that. Yeah. So one of the thoughts that I had, and this is a conversation for the committee. You know, I think that since we work with the employees and since we work with the public, it would be good for us to take that same training. And I would even extend it to some key volunteers on some of the other boards, like zoning and planning. And the reason I say that is I have personal experience with this. I go through it every year with the company that I work for. You learn something new every year. It reminds you how you have to behave. It reminds you about how to treat, you know, members of the opposite, you know, the different gender, of the different race, et cetera, like that. But just simply, you know, along this lines of building civility, understanding, and communication. And, you know, we have a saying in sales, you know, make sure you eat your own dog food. Well, if we're doing this for the employees, I think we need to kind of lead by example and be doing this as well. And I understand that, you know, we're unpaid volunteers, and that's a significant amount of time to dedicate to it. And there are ways that maybe we can create incentives to go through this. I'm not saying that every volunteer that's working for the town has to go through this, but I think at a minimum, the township committee, maybe the chairman and the vice chairman of the two other bodies go through it. I feel kind of strongly about this, so I just want to open that up to a short discussion. Maybe Brendan, I'll start with you because you understand this from the corporate world.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm completely in agreement. You know, any kind of training like this, you can never get enough of it, and this sounds as though it's a good way to go. So I'd be in support, absolutely.
How about you, Vic?
Me too. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Guy, are you out there? You probably have to go through this with the state, right?
Yeah, well, I've done it 30 years, right? Also, as you said, in the private sector on Wall Street for all those years, we had to take it. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And we already do, you know, anti-corruption training every year. This is something that the GIF, our General Insurance Fund, asks us to do, and if they get complete compliance from all the committee members, we get a discount on our taxes. And I think, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, every year we get that discount, right? We complete that training?
Yes, you do. Randy can speak more.
Not on taxes, on the GIF premium.
Right.
Right.
On the premium. Right.
Yeah, you had mentioned taxes. I don't want anybody thinking you get discounts on property taxes.
No. Right. So Matt, how do you feel about this?
I'm fine. I wouldn't even be opposed to extending it to the leadership of the fire companies and/or the rescue squad, being that they're technically managers or officers. So,
Right, and that starts stepping into territories, like how much jurisdiction do we have in that regard? But, you know, that could be something that, you know, we can spread virally through the leadership, right? Because you're here. Do you do anything like that in Millington?
Nope. No, we don't have any kind of training like that.
And what are your thoughts on that? Would it be worthwhile?
I absolutely. I think it would be worthwhile.
Okay.
I mean, and certainly, you know, I'd take back to certainly the executive committee in Millington that would be my recommendation, that we all go through it.
Now, Randy, the GIF probably has this kind of training available, right?
Yeah, each year they also have training for elected officials that go over this type of stuff. That's like a one day, not a one day, a couple hours, like Megan was saying, on online training also, that probably could be extended to also the various boards in town also. I think the GIF does have a multitude, and our risk managers, Brown and Brown, have a multitude of various training that would also fit into this category. Some of it may be more directed towards the fire departments and their capabilities of what they do and what they handle. So we have a multitude of accessible education videos that we could access.
Okay, so, since we seem to be walking towards a consensus on this, can you do some research on this and bring us back some options? And, maybe the next time we get together, we can talk, how do we institutionalize this to ensure that it happens, to ensure that it's incented, and see where we can take it. We're getting towards the end of the year. It would be good to kind of get something in place as we head into, January when we do a reorg, et cetera, right?
Yep.
All right, so Randy, you've got the ball on that, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, next.
Do you want to go back to administrator's report?
Yes, administrators report.
Yeah.
You were talking about
I
Boswell.
apologize. So Boswell Engineering merged with Ferrero, so we're going to be taking a look at that. Popular Drive road improvements are out on, the bids are out on the street. Just want to remind people to go to our website. It has a multitude of various information. One that we just posted either today or yesterday, the federal government is providing 4 COVID tests to every household in the United States. So the access website is on our website. So just go on our website, click on it, and fill out the information, and they'll send you 4 COVID tests. You can also do any kind of code violation complaints on the website. There's our police reporting, as Committeeman Dorsey has said in the past. So visit our website. There's a multitude of information there.
Okay, anything
That's
else?
it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, so I don't know if this next one's under discussion or old or new business. And Jack, I had asked you a question just prior to the meeting. So at the planning board last night, one of the things that passed was this Delaware development, which is going to include connecting the ends of Delaware Avenue to Old Morristown Road. And, the residents are concerned about an increase of traffic in there and the safety of children and, how this cut-through might prove to be a shortcut for people who don't want to go on Valley. And one of the things that we talked about, because there was reservations of people on the planning board, myself included, we had asked that incorporated into the language of this would be a recommendation to go back to the township committee and look at traffic calming and safety mitigation possibilities. And one thing that comes to mind, where this cut through is going to go is at the corner of Delaware and Skyline,
Right.
where those roads meet. And it seems to be an obvious solution because this is done in towns like Montclair, which Vic, you're probably familiar with, where they have long straightaways. They put stop signs at various intersections just to slow people down.
Okay.
Would seem like an obvious solution to put a stop sign at that intersection at the point in time when it's going to matter.
Yep.
And so, question to you, does this body have the authority to do that?
Yes, Mayor, the township committee can adopt stop intersection ordinances on self-contained municipal roads. All we need is a report, not a full traffic report, just a brief memo from the township engineer saying it's justified.
Okay,
And that's without Commissioner of Transportation approval.
so in other words, it's fairly easy.
Yes, very easy.
All right, so, I'll open that up to discussion, starting down there, Vic, with you. What do you think of that?
I think that whatever we could do as far as safety for that intersection is very important. You're talking about a neighborhood that was once a cul-de-sac, and now it's a cut-through, and there's a lot of discomfort from the neighborhood. They're concerned. They have children that play in the streets, and it's quiet. I myself had a situation on Stephanie Drive where we continued the street, made it a cul-de-sac, and the cut-through was a possibility, and we were up in arms about it. So I think that anything that can be done at this point to assure that their comfort and the safety of the residents, and especially the children of that neighborhood, would be paramount.
Okay. Brendan, how do you feel?
No, I mean, yeah, I was there last night. I heard the concerns of the residents in that area, and it's something as innocuous as a stop sign, but with the going so far to alleviate some of the concerns, I think would be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and doing it proactively. I want to tell you a story. So, I grew up in Bayonne. And on First Street in Bayonne, there's a stop sign, and it's not even on an intersection. And that stop sign is there because people cross the street and go into the park, First Street Park. You know what got the town over the hump to put that stop sign in? A child being hit by a car and killed, right? And so, let's not wait for that, right? Because it just seems like this is a no-brainer. When that's there, it just seems like a natural thing to stop traffic. They reset, then they go.
Is there any way to include a speed bump or?
We can talk about
I think I think it has to be appropriate, like some type of study may need to be done, because speed bumps just can't be put anywhere. But anything that we could do to make, again, to assure safety and comfort, I think is a must.
And I think it's important that the residents in that neighborhood hear this tonight from us, that, it's not that we're just gonna let this go,
Yeah.
because we all have this concern.
Yeah.
Matt, I didn't ask you.
No, I'm in agreement with everybody else. Like I said, I'm open to other ideas. I'm not a speed bump fan, but stop sign's easy, and there might be other things we can even consider too.
All right.
But I'm open to.
And I think the other thing that we should commit to, right, is as soon as the cut throughs opened up, that the roads opened up, that we do over however long it takes, is have PD
Study.
do the study, so we know exactly the meets and bounds of the issue that we have, and then use that to craft any measures that are appropriate to calm the traffic.
Yep. Guy, how about you? You there?
Well, the response to that is obviously anything we can do to add safety, public safety, we should do. I must admit, I did not follow the conversation during the numerous meetings that took place regarding that particular application. And as Jack had pointed out, the Township Committee does not have authority over the Planning Board as regards its decisions. It's unfortunate we're having this conversation about safety when there was a simpler way to address that safety concern, and that is not to have approved the cut through. But again, I must admit I did not follow all of the meetings or all of the discussions. But back to your original question, with that which the Township Committee does have input on, anything we can do to enhance public safety, we should do.
Okay. All right, Randy. I've got another ask for you then. Can you reach out to Mark, the engineer? And, let's have an internal call to talk about the situation there and, what his steps would be to look at that.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion items or old or new business? All right. So as far as announcements, again, as Matt had mentioned, the federal government's offering residential household COVID-19 test kits for free for every household to be shipped on or after October 2nd. The link's on our website. Second thing, the Elks are having their Elktoberfest on Saturday, October 7th at 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. There are a link to buying tickets, $40 per person, $20 per ceramic commemorative mug, and it's beautiful. Yes?
And what would that $40 buy you?
That $40 would buy you unlimited food. Unlimited food. That's
And
bratwurst, hot dogs, chicken, pork,
Unlimited
maybe.
good food.
Unlimited good food. There
Yeah.
might even be beef tenderloins, but not a promise.
Oh, okay. All right.
And German beer will be available by the pint.
Right.
So that's that. That's October 7th. this weekend, I mentioned it earlier, the annual Troop 56 Boy Scout Mum Sale. That's going to be in the parking lot near Joseph A. Banks at the Valley Mall. Please support the Boy Scouts. The proceeds go towards their activities, and you'll find that the prices are competitive with the big box stores. Any other announcements?
Yes, it came to my attention a couple weeks ago, due to the spotty Verizon cell phone service in town, that if people call 611 on Verizon, that's like their customer service, if you call them and say, look, because you live here, the service has been really bad, basically in the August 17th to 24th range, if you call and explain that to them and push a little bit, they'll give you a credit to an extent for that time. So I called, it was so easy my father was able to figure it out. So if you know my father, then you know you can get it done. So please, I encourage you, if you have Verizon cell phone service, to call and explain to them you live in Long Hill. Yeah, it's between like August 17th to 24th in that area. The service is worse than usual, but we're actually working on that now. So we're working on some things. But please call and push back and get a refund or a rebate. I'm sorry. Thank you.
And I absolutely, Matt, we did the same thing.
Yes.
They're very accommodating. And the other thing, just with the COVID tests, I actually went online, and it takes like 2 seconds. Basically, it's the easiest thing imaginable to get those four tests. So I'd encourage everybody to do that.
Great. Okay, any other announcements? All right, seeing none, then I will open the meeting to the public. You're free to come up and comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And come on down. And please state your name and address. And
Pamela Ogens, The Crescent in Millington. The draft master plan is not posted. I'm concerned that someone's going to blame Deborah Kuntz, and I don't want that to happen. Apparently, Deborah hasn't received it, so she can't post it. At last night's planning board meeting, the planning board committee members, including the chairperson, agreed that they had reviewed the draft and that they were in agreement with it. Therefore, it would be released for public review and comment. That didn't happen. I don't know why it hasn't been posted. Please take care of that ASAP. Also, at last night's planning board meeting, the engineer hired by the applicant, who has the application before the planning board for the Delaware Avenue project, referred multiple times to the 2023 draft master plan. Clearly, this engineer, hired by an applicant, a non-resident, has had opportunity to review all or part of the 2023 draft master plan before the residents of Long Hill Township.
Pam, if I could just interrupt there. I mean, I believe that what the engineer referred to was a version that was up on the website. He hasn't had the ability to read anything that the residents haven't.
He multiple times called the draft,
Oh,
in
but-
addition to speaking to the 1996 version.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean,
you were there too.
I was there.
and
I heard him
was
say that.
as
But
well.
I also heard him say that it was a draft that was available on our website and that had been since taken down. So that was. And Tom Jones is here. He's in charge of the draft master plan and the preparation of it. And so, Tom, I don't know whether you like up, afterwards, after Pam, and just address that.
So there was a draft on the website?
That's what the engineer said.
I think that was more about a conversation that took place. The draft was not on the website.
Oh, okay.
That was not
I
the case.
misheard him then.
I think I heard him say either yesterday or 2 weeks ago that there was that was part of a conversation that that some element that he was referring to was still in the draft version. And then I think it was either Chairman Sandow or it was Mr. Hand that said we need to stop referencing.
It was
the
David
draft.
Hand.
It was Mr. Hand, correct. So he said we need to stop referencing that. You need to go back to the 96 plan because that is the active plan.
Okay, but he didn't have
He did not have a copy.
access.
That was a conversation
So-
that he may have had. with
Okay.
somebody.
Okay.
So Pam, that was the.
So he may not have put eyes to paper, but certainly he had been apprised to a draft because he referred to the draft multiple times. So somehow he had some information about the draft. That's what we're waiting to look at, to review whether it was in conversation and not eyes to paper. When are we going to see it?
So I had a conversation quickly in the back. Sorry for that. Tom Jones, Master Plan, not Master Plan, Planning Board. So I did reach out to both Don and Deborah to find out when it's going to get posted. It has been stated, someone cannot hear me? We're good? All right. As posted in the Echo Sentinel, it's to be released on the 28th. That is tomorrow. I did confirm with Deborah that it was sent to her. However, she thinks because it's a link to a Dropbox that it might have been put into her junk folder, and that's why she didn't see it. So she's going to check it first thing tomorrow morning. I will follow up with her tomorrow morning to make sure that she's got it. If she doesn't have it, I'll resend it to her so that way she can get to the document, and then we'll put it on the website.
So tomorrow it'll be there. Okay.
And Tom,
good.
that's according to your schedule, right? That it was going to be tomorrow. It was, yeah, it was my understanding it was going to be posted tomorrow. So
Okay,
and not
because
today.
it had been said before that it would be released immediately after the draft was approved by the planning board. So there was a disconnect there. Originally, there were going to be 3 sessions for public comment about the draft. Now there's one, October 10th. The clock's ticking. So tomorrow we'll be watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments in the courtroom?
Good evening again. Charles Arenowitz, Millington. Based on your executive session tonight, shared service engineer, is there anything you can tell the public as it relates to that discussion to the first reading of Ordinance 523-23?
Randy, do you want to comment? You're on mute. Randy, you're on mute.
52323, the historic?
No,
the
that's the
shared,
wrong one.
what was in executive for shared service?
An ordinance that was introduced tonight for shared service.
The
Chuck, could you
salary
repeat your
portion.
question?
All right, let me start over. Is there anything you can relate to your discussion this evening in executive session about shared service engineer to the first reading of ordinance 523-23?
52323 was adopted tonight.
Here's the problem, Megan. There's a couple numbers there. That's 523-23 and there's 525-23. Maybe I had the wrong number.
You're talking about the salary
I'm talking
and
about the
wages
one that
ordinance.
was the salary and wages, that's 523-23,
That was
as it
adopted.
relates to the engineer, that you had a discussion, you being the township committee meeting in executive session tonight regarding shared services. The question is, can you relate anything to the taxpayers and residents between that discussion and your first reading regarding an engineer?
Yeah, I'll handle that, Randy.
Great.
That's one of the options that we're looking at. And no, there's nothing that we can relate at this time.
Okay. Next question. I'm very intrigued by the comment tonight that our HR consultant wants to get the public involved. My question for you, Mayor, is how does one, as a member of public, find out about that?
Randy, do you want to? You're meeting with Tom regularly. Where is he at in terms of meeting with members of the public? Has he gotten to that stage of this yet?
No, he has not. We're working on some internal things, and I don't have, at this point, I don't have a time schedule of when that portion of the human resource will be conducted.
Right. So I think that's, stay tuned on that.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to it.
All right. One comment I didn't make on the appropriations in the first reading of taking the recreation escrow of $75,000. You approved tonight, I believe, the construction of the pickleball courts. My question for you and the engineer is the timing of the construction of a project like this. We're approaching fall and the winter season. Would construction of this pickleball court and parking lots be appropriate at this time of year?
So I'll take a first swing at that, and I'll let Randy back clean up on it. My understanding is that they could do the major part of the work this fall before the freeze, and then put a final coating on in the spring. And that sounds familiar to what happened up in the Oaks Road territory. I think you remember we were paving as late as, I want to say, December 20th. Remember? And then they did the top coat. And part of that has to do with the availability of asphalt. The factories kind of shut down in December. Right?
Right. I just don't want to spend good money after bad, because pickleball courts are in a major demand.
They certainly are. Do you play pickleball, Chuck?
No, not yet.
Will
My
you?
friend he took a course on how to prevent injuries as a 70-year-old, so he's going to enroll me in that course before I do anything. All right. Last night's planning board. I would encourage you, as a committee, with the advice of council and engineer and planner, about the stormwater management changes when there's a general collection area and who's responsible for that. There was lengthy discussion last night. Should it be the town? Should it be the landowner? Should it be a homeowners association? It's not a difficult decision. It is a difficult decision because of the situation in this town. So I would encourage you as a committee to begin looking at that now. Okay?
Yeah, let me, if I could respond to you on that. Yes, we're starting to have conversations on that. And, there's a number of different ways that we can address that to make sure it happens, because the town will be on the hook to file the right reports with the DEP.
Right.
And if we're dependent upon a homeowner, right, there has to be some enforcement in place either to make sure the homeowner has it or for the town to do it and create some sort of an assessment for the time, energy, and money it takes to do it, right? And so we just need to kind of lay out what the different options are and, codify that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's about 12 other properties in town which have this issue right now. So
Right.
the problem wasn't created last night.
Yeah. The other issue I've got with that, and I don't want an answer. Why didn't our professionals on the boards and this committee advise us of these changes so we would have had a better response last night to this applicant that's been trying for, 5 or 6 years. He had 8 homes, 7 homes, 5 homes to do this. And it's not fair to that home, that property owner, to not move forward with this if the regulations changed. Because I think he was surprised, as well as a number of people. Next question. I'm assuming Boswell Engineering, taken over Ferraro Engineering, has no effect on our current contract and services.
That's correct.
Good. I am elated. After 10 years, I'm going to be able to look at the master plan tomorrow. Hopefully. As I said many times, I think as you have taken a high-level view of the fire departments, the police department, this process of a 10-year plan to produce a master plan, gone through master plan committees, multiple chairmen, topology, spending a lot of money. Why has it taken 10 years, and money will be well spent to take a look at that? And I say this, not 10 years, it's 30 years. We've done 2 re-examinations. And I don't particularly like having 12 days in one meeting for the residents of this town to review a master plan that, like, for example, last night, there was a cut-through with Delaware Avenue. There's other cut-throughs in that master plan that people didn't know about. And you're going to give us 12 days. That's unfair. And not an opportunity to do a thorough analysis. So I called the township today and said, and asked the planning coordinator, how large is this master plan that I've got 12 days to review? She says to me, I don't know how long it is. I said, have you seen it? She said, no. I said to her, well, can I come here tomorrow and pick up a copy? She said, if you pay for it. I said, okay. I said, are all the charts in an 8.5 by 11 format? She's not sure. She said, some of them may be maps that are 11 by 17. I said, I don't have a printer of that capacity, and I'd like to look at it. I said, could you, if I asked it, could you print the pages that are 11 by 17? She said, well, I'd check with Megan to see if I could do that. Well, if I come here tomorrow and there's 20 pages that are 11 by 17, I'd like to read it. Can you, as a committee, I'll pay for it because, you know, I don't want to cause any other problems. I'll pay for my 11 by 17 copies, but could you, as a committee, guarantee me and other taxpayers, if they fund the printing, that you can get that produced tomorrow? She doesn't know how many pages it is. 2 of you have served on the committee. How large is the report, and how many 11 by 17 pages roughly is it? That's a question.
I can't tell you right off the bat.
Rough numbers.
I think I'd probably mislead you. I didn't look.
I don't want to be misled.
Not but then, and I definitely don't want to be doing it. The culprit there. So, I mean, whenever I read it, I wasn't really paying attention to the number of pages, Chuck.
Or how big are they? How many 11 by 17 pages are there?
That I don't know.
Scott?
I couldn't tell you.
Will you commit to printing them if I pay for them and the other residents pay for them if they want to read them tomorrow?
That's up to the services that we have here.
Well, who's in charge?
Megan, what facilities do we have for printing documents?
We would be able to do it.
We would be able to do it, and would we charge for it?
That was a question that Deb was asking.
Is it a color printer?
Yes, we do have a color printer, yes.
Okay. Okay, so would you mind then sending your request to Megan, and tomorrow we can figure out if we can get this done?
So you're not committing that you'll print copies of, even if I pay for it?
I'm not committing that we have the ink and we have the paper, right? So I would say, let Megan look at it. We have the capability to do it, we can do it.
Okay.
Otherwise, Tom, do you want to come up and explain the access of the document in electronic format? Because I think it's in PDF, right?
Yeah, it'll be in PDF. There's 203 pages. It's all in letter paper.
It's all letter? The planning administrator said they were 11 by 17, so if it's 8.5 by 11 and it's 207 pages, I can print it. And you don't have to charge me, you know.
Well, the advantage of looking at it on PDF, if there's charts that have too much detail in it because they're shrunk down,
Right.
you can
Well,
zoom in.
yeah, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to take my
Yes, your yellow.
highlighter and highlight things so I can prepare for my October 10th meeting where I've got, 2.5 hours to convey my comments that you took 10 years to prepare.
And I mean, the one thing, I mean, that's been stated a couple of times here, Mayor, if I can just, there's one meeting on the schedule right now, but there are multiple meetings in the schedule for public input. So it's not just one meeting.
Yeah. While we're talking about that, any idea in out-of-pocket costs what this cost us as taxpayers?
In terms of what? In terms of legal fees, engineer
Paying the
fees?
planner to help us, paying topology, conducting, printing the surveys, pulling it together. Any idea what this plan, 10 years of waiting, has cost us?
Over 10 years, or what the budget was for the last year?
No, what it's cost us in 10 years total.
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Is that a reasonable question to ask and someone
It's
look
an
into it?
interesting question. It's a tough question to answer when one hasn't sat down and done the analysis.
Yeah.
But
I,
whatever-
I would say one of the things you could do is take a look at the yearly budget and calculate it by
All right.
10 years.
Let me give you some numbers.
I
for
bet you do. You have those numbers. You never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
That's right.
That was a trick. We almost fell
Yeah,
into it.
no, I did. I
fell into
saw
it.
it. I saw the pit and I backed up.
We spent $30,000 on topology. Okay? From January of, no, you gave me December. From December 2021 through April, and Megan was so gracious to give me, I said April through August, was so gracious to provide me with July and August today, strictly consulting fees from our board planner was $75,000 plus. That is strictly master plan. One of the interesting line items in that $75,000, 6 hours were spent by one of the planning board's firm's professionals designing the cover of this master plan that we've waited 10 years for. I'm elated at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow to take a look at this cover. And I hope I've got color printers. That's not a problem, 8.5 by 11. I'm really waiting to see what this looked like.
Use photo paper. It'll really be great.
Yeah.
You've used the word elated twice tonight. And
Yeah,
that's not,
I mean,
we
I'm-
don't usually hear that from
I'm
you.
off the charts tonight here. 10 years. Gosh. half of you weren't on this committee 10 years ago, right? Vic?
hair when it- Vic had
Brendan,
hair
you
when
were
it
here.
started.
You weren't here, Scott.
Yeah, well, Vic had hair at that time, right?
Yeah. So Brendan and Matthew have been, and Guy on the phone, wherever he is in the Far East, they've been through this with us. But welcome, Victor, and welcome, Scott, for our 10-year anniversary tomorrow at 8:30. I can't wait. And I'll try to read every page in 8.5 by 11, and I'll get Deborah to make sure she realizes it's only 8.5 by 11.
Good.
Thank you for your time, and looking forward to, if you have a correction to my numbers on the last 2 years of expense, I don't know what it was beyond that, but it could be more. Thank you again.
But Chuck, whatever the number, it pales into insignificance given the blood, sweat, and tears of the volunteers that have worked on it through those.
There you go. I
over
didn't
those
even
10
I didn't
years.
even ask for that time. Pam can probably give you those numbers better than I, as could David Hands.
Well, look at the bright side. It's not 11 years. Thank
That's
you.
right.
Yeah. Any other comments in the courtroom before we go to the Zoom? Okay. Come on up, Tom.
Tom Jones, Gillette, just a comment for Randy as he goes to take a look at the HR training. I think it's a really good idea. I do it for my own company amongst other training, compliance trainings and such. But our training is generally about an hour, so doing a 2 or 3 hour for someone who's doing a volunteer position, that's a big ask. And if you're going to do it on an annual basis because of leadership change, that's a bit of a big ask. So if you can find something that's an hour long with a test or exam or assessment at the end, that's what we do.
Yeah. One of the things that, and we do understand 3 hours could be a lot, and hopefully there's something that's less.
Yeah.
But one other way to do it, since we are talking about volunteers that are not getting paid, is maybe putting a stipend together, right? But if we did a stipend, and essentially gave a payment for doing this, we would also be reporting at the end of the year to the public who took it and who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sort of a carrot and a stick kind of mentality if we go down that path. But we'll see. I mean, let's let this develop. But
Yep.
I think what I hear you saying is directionally this is the right thing to do.
Correct.
Right.
Totally
Okay.
agreed.
Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Megan, anybody online?
If anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. Guy, if you've come back on as Megan Phillips, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Well, can I just speak here?
Yeah, you can just speak
All right.
here.
Are we in public comment still, or are we done?
Nobody from the public has raised their hand. The only person that raised their hand was Megan Phillips, which means it's Guy Passerich.
Okay. So I'll close public comment. And Guy, you have a comment? Your hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Brendan just correctly said. What's lost in that 20-minute dialogue that went back and forth there are the countless volunteers that have dedicated their time over the last 13 years to what effectively is a thankless project, and that is the master plan. So it culminates with Tom Jones and the team that has worked with him. So I want to thank those folks for doing what they did over the 13 years. We could easily do like a lot of towns and hire out the master plan, which would have cost a multiple of the numbers that were just discussed. So those volunteers, what they've done for those 13 years is immeasurable, going back to Tom Bear and the folks that were on the master plan committee then, right up until most recently with Tom Jones and the team today. So lost in that conversation is the fact that this is essentially a volunteer-driven effort. The numbers that were discussed are minimal compared to what other towns pay for their master plan.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments from the committee before I ask for a motion to close and go to executive?
With no further action.
With no further action?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion to go back into exec.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.